All right, guys, welcome back to the How Can You podcast, where we delve deep into the minds of entrepreneurs, figure out how they got where they are, so then you can hopefully do the same thing. So today I'm here with Isaac. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Issac Neblett, only up Isaac on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, what do you do?
Okay, so I specialize in the credit industry. So I help entrepreneurs like you and like a lot of people get the capital they need to start their journey in entrepreneurship, because a lot of people's downfall is they don't have the access to capital to expand their businesses. So that's what I help with, help them get the capital they need. And yeah, after that it's easy. They have one thing checked off the list, which is capital.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the entrepreneur space for?
I'd say I'm in like year 4, but only 1 year all in.
Okay.
I was dibbling and dabbling, but never really fully in.
Yeah.
Which being fully in really like helps a lot, because like you can see the growth.
100%.
Being fully in, instead of like worrying about too many things, you can really focus on one.
Yeah, and all your time can go to that one thing.
Yeah, which is really good.
100%. So you've been in it for around 4 years. What got you into it? Like, usually I find with entrepreneurs, there's something that happened in their life, whether it be an event or a series of events or just things that made them not go down the normal path of like go to school and get a job. So like, what was that for you?
I really think it was just ever since the early age, I just never really like confined to like what is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always like been an open thinker and like a deeper thinker of different things. So like I've never really wanted to do just the traditional route. Like my parents, obviously I come from like a household where like education is the most important thing, but they think education from like schooling is what you need, but like you can really learn a lot more like on the web. So I just like spent a lot of time online, and I just learned so many opportunities, read like lots of books, which like opened my mind up to a lot more than what is really out there. Because I've worked before, but like you just go to work and you see people like they're all depressed. Yeah, they're making money, they don't have to worry about anything, but then most of the time they're depressed, wanting to get home, wanting to clock out, waiting for the weekends, things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's weird because like at my age right now, I'm 19, and most of my friends are going to university, right? So like for me to not go is weird. But then it's also like people ask me, they say, are you studying? And I say, not in the formal sense, but I study every day, right? Like I'm reading books every day, listening to podcasts, audio books, just like taking in valuable information. It's like, it's school for us. So you say that you're in the credit space. What got you into that space? Because like a lot of people, they don't even have credit cards, or they do have a credit card, but they don't take it to the level that you've taken it to. So what kind of got you there?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like people get taught that credit's a bad thing. Like if you do have a credit card, only use it for gas, only use it for small purchases. But that's like what got me into it. I was just like scrolling on YouTube, like as you do. I applied for 2 credit cards, like just 2 of the basic cards. I got $500 limit on both. And I just put them away. I didn't really like think about it. I just paid like the little amounts every month. And then as I was in the entrepreneur space, so I was doing like lots of businesses, trying to make it. And I came across like a lot of money. I came across a lot of money, and then one of my friends like kind of like introduced me to this investment opportunity. And this was early on in the stages. I hadn't taken many L's, like many losses. So I thought, yeah, it was a good idea. So I went all in on that investment and lost it all within 2 weeks. So all that hard work just went down the drain in 2 weeks. So after that, I like started rebuilding. But it was pretty hard to like get back to where I was at. It was going to take like quite a while. So that's like when I started to like really like lock in with credit and like understand like the system of it, because it's really just a system, a language that you just have to learn. So then I ended up working for like a friend, and he had the credit repair business, and I worked for him. I started helping him, and then I started helping like my family and friends. That's like where I really like woke up to like how powerful it is. And then after like learning how to repair it and build it, that's when I got into the funding side of it. So that's like when I got into the getting the credit cards. So I think I have like 18 now. That's a lot.
That's a lot of credit cards.
Thick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like getting access to the capital helped a lot. So once I got the capital is when I started like investing into other opportunities, more opportunities where I wouldn't have to do much like manual labor. So I invested into Airbnb, and that like really changed the game for me.
So like Airbnb arbitrage?
Yeah, Airbnb arbitrage. So I rent the property instead of buying it. So I used my American Express Blue Business Plus, which has 0% interest for 12 months. So I'm not paying any interest on the money. So I have 12 months to pay it back without any interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty much, it's like your own money really, but as long as you just make the minimum payments or like most of the payments, it's good.
Yeah.
Like credit should be used as a tool, because like it's pretty much, you're just going to the bank and asking for money and they're giving it to you, like anything you need, instead of like the traditional way, that way you have to work really hard to get the money. Because a lot of people too, they get like investors or like venture capitalists where they have to actually like give them a percentage of their business, kind of like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're going on and they're only asking for $100,000, but 20% of their business is lost.
Yeah.
When in fact you could just build your credit up, get that $100,000 in credit, and then invest in yourself, and then you don't have no boss, and you don't have to give your cut anywhere, because it's 100% you, and it's 100% ownership.
Yeah, that's
which
cool.
is the main thing.
So then, when you got into the credit space, that's how you kind of got into the like Airbnb arbitrage space. Like, how did you get into Airbnb?
Yeah, I had always wanted to do Airbnb, but the capital was like the main thing, because like I told you, I lost a big investment amount, so the capital was the main issue. So yeah.
And you kind of found Airbnb through like just going on Instagram?
Yeah, Airbnb was kind of a thing where I just saw on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok. And then like what really opened my mind up to Airbnb was I was in an Uber one day like with a couple of my friends, and we're talking to the Uber driver, and he said he was making like $3,000 a week on one of his properties because it was close to the airport. And like I was thinking like that's what like sparked my mind into it, because like you see a lot of things on Instagram and you're like, I don't know if it will work. But like after hearing his story, like I was like, yeah, I really have to put my foot in, just see what it's like, test the waters. And for me, it like worked really well.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you said there. Of like, you weren't sure if it worked, but then since you saw it firsthand, then you're like, okay. Because like for me, before I got into the internet space, I was like, I always saw it, right? But I wasn't actually sure if it worked, how to do it, this or that.
Yeah.
And I kind of just like opened my mind, started believing. But the moment that I came to Bali and I like actually was seeing these people do these things on the internet in real time and like making tons of money, that's when I was like, okay, like this shit is like, I'm never going back to like real life, you know? Because like it's kind of like the life that we live is almost like a fairy tale life.
Yeah.
And like we make it work, but it's a lot of people's dreams, and like so. We live in Bali, obviously. What brought you to Bali?
What brought me to Bali was just the freedom and kind of just the disconnect from like the world, because it's a whole different like system over here. Like I even have screenshots in my phone, like talking to my mom saying in the future I'm gonna be financially free and living in Bali, and then 2 years later I'm here. Yeah. So like I really spoke my dreams into reality, which is really cool. Just like the island life, I love the island life. I love the beach. I love how the people here are so kind. So that's what really brought me in, and I wanted to be more like in tune with nature, because there's lots of nature here, a lot of greenery. Yeah.
In some parts.
In some parts.
Canggu isn't that green.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, so you came to Bali. Did you come here with already a business set up and everything, or did you come here kind of like with some savings and like expecting to make things kind of work out? Because
Okay.
that's what I did.
Yeah. So at this point, So at the point that I came to Bali, I already had my Airbnb up and running. My Airbnb was already on autopilot. I had a cleaner that would clean. She would like make sure everything in the house was good.
Mm-hmm.
She would like wash the sheets, fill the toilet paper up, go shopping for me when I needed to go shopping. So I could literally be away from the business, which is like which was my goal, just to be away from the business and still be able to make the money. So I was doing the Airbnb, and then recently I've just been wanting to like teach people in the same position, like that are lacking capital, that want to like increase their business or start a new business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay, so right now, within the credit space, you teach people how to do it?
Yeah, so I currently teach people how to repair their credit, how to build their credit, and like how to get the funding from the banks. Mm-hmm. So they can invest into their businesses, can get cars they want, can get approved for apartments.
So if anyone's watching right now and let's say they don't have a credit card, or they have a credit card and their credit score is kind of going down, this or that, they can come to you and you can kind of sort it all out for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
For someone that's also sitting at home and watching, right, and they're like, okay, you do Airbnb, you're in the credit space, how do I get started? If I wanted to start an Airbnb, what do you do?
For Airbnb, I would say you need the capital first, because you have to pay the rent and you have to pay for the furniture. Mm-hmm. So that's why I recommend credit. And also the good thing like with credit and using Airbnb is you get to see that profit instantly. Other than, for example, you put $10,000 in Airbnb of your own cash, it's going to take a couple months to see any of that money back. But if you do credit and 0% interest, you get to see the profit straight away. Mm-hmm. But to get started in Airbnb, it's finding a property. So there's two pathways. You can either choose to like buy or to like do the arbitrage. So where you'll rent to put on Airbnb.
So you rent it from someone else and then you put it on Airbnb.
Yeah, so you're renting it from someone else, asking for permission, and then putting it on Airbnb. Mm-hmm.
So is it tricky finding someone to say yes to that?
Yes, it is tricky finding someone to say yes to that, but you just kind of have to use your resources. I'm borrowing like a family, so that like was a big bonus. But you can also go on like you can find a freelancer to like mass apply for houses for you, which is it's a hack, because someone can mass apply for houses for you, then you just you get charged a fee. So there's that way. That's probably the easiest way, less effort way to get a property. And then after getting a property, it's just all about furnishing it. And there's also like lots of systems that you have to put in place. Like you have to find a cleaner. And the good thing about me, like with my property, I have on the door, it's like a remote key, so they can just like put like a key, what's it called, like code. A passcode in, and it's just their last 4 digits of their phone number, and they get access to the house. And I also have a Ring door light, so when they click or like when motion comes on, I can see who's entering the house. And so that's like, that gives me the ability to be like anywhere in the world, because it's all like the systems in place for me to be able to do that.
So it's fully automated, and then if you're wanting to scale, you can also somewhat automate that as well. Like you said, you can get someone to reach out to all these properties for you, and I'm sure you could find someone to furnish it for you as well. Yeah,
furnish it. And then if I was to start again, I would definitely hire a team or buy furniture that was already made, because I like shopped at IKEA. IKEA is good because when I ordered it, it arrived the next day. But like to build IKEA furniture, it takes such a long time.
It does, yeah. I have a lot of experience with IKEA furniture. Yeah. I remember when I was young, actually, I found like an error in the instructions. It's pretty funny. But yeah, anyways, so you're living in Bali. You have this Airbnb that is automated.
Yep.
Are you looking to scale this business and get more Airbnbs?
I'm really looking just to scale my personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like personal brand is something that's like recession proof.
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as I have a personal brand and like giving people value, that's like when you get to see the return.
Mm-hmm.
So scaling Airbnb, yes, I will, but not to the limit that some people are doing it. I just want to do it just for some passive income, but not as my full career.
100%. So how long have you how long have you been building your personal brand for?
Really since the start of my entrepreneurship journey, so about 4 years, but never really consistently. So I've just started being consistent with it, and then I will continue to be consistent and keep growing.
100%. So for me, the biggest thing that kind of helped me get into the entrepreneurship space was a guy named Stephen Bartlett. So I read his book, I listened to his podcast, and he, for me, unlocked a lot of my limiting beliefs and made me believe in myself and kind of see the world from a different perspective. So is there anyone like that for you? Or like, is there anyone like that for you? Like someone that you listen to often, or someone that you really look up to in terms of like entrepreneur?
I would say like the two, really the most important like kind of person that like really gave me the best, I don't know how to say it.
Information, value.
Yeah, really the person that gave me the most value was more in the mindset era, where the person is David Goggins. So like I read his book.
Yeah. Can't Hear Me?
Yeah,
me too.
And after reading that book, like it was like something switched in my mind that I was like, like if he's like he's doing things that like isn't possible. So that really like opened my mind up to like, as long as you work hard and you won't give up, like anything is reachable.
100%. I think especially in the entrepreneurship space, or like anything in life that's truly worthwhile pursuing, like a really key aspect of succeeding within that is to just not give up.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say about, because a lot of people, they'll start something but then they give up. So like, what would you say about that? Other than don't give up, but like, why do you think people give up?
I feel like people give up. I feel like it's like a wave. So like success is like here, for example, and people get to success, and then once they like first see it, that's when they start to chill and start to like be complacent and stop trying as hard. But if you keep like, once you hit success and you keep on trying and keep on going, that's when like you really see the results, the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. What about for someone that hasn't seen any success yet? Why should they keep going?
They should keep going because the effort that you put in, there will be a positive reaction to what you put in. So for example, if you're building something and like if you're getting 1% better at that every single day, for 1 year you become like 365% better.
Yeah.
So compounding that year by year, there will be nothing to...
100%. I totally agree. So you obviously, you didn't go to university, right?
Nah, I went to university for like 2 days. Like,
why?
First of all, I originally just went to university like for my parents, and then like
most people.
Yeah, most people. I saw like nobody was happy. That was the main thing. Nobody was happy, and the ideal goal of university is to get a good job, but like I was looking at the jobs and there's people in my space making that in like a day. So the income for the amount of effort put in like didn't really make sense to me. And I always wanted to like challenge myself and take just the easy route, take the road less traveled to see the better results.
Yeah. So what do you think it is in you that wants to go that route? Because like, for example, in our society, they reward us for being normal, right? If you go to school, then it's like, oh, you're good, you're cool, you don't have to worry about anything. If you wear the same clothes as everyone else, it's like, oh, you look good. It's like, we get rewarded for being like everyone else. So
Yeah.
what is it inside of you that made you not want to be like everyone else?
Okay, so I think it was my like second chance at life. So when I was, I'd say 12, I was diagnosed with leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty much like in hospital for like 3 years.
Wow.
So like I missed a lot of school doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned like a lot because I was, instead of like learning the traditional in school route, I was learning like YouTube, learning whatever I wanted. So that kind of like gave me the outlook like that there is more, and really the second chance at life just gives me the motivation to be great, like to tap into a potential, to tap into my full potential, to reach my full potential, because my potential would be limited down that type of pathway when I believe in myself that I have like the ability to achieve great things, and that takes like great risk, and
100%.
I'm ready to take the risk because
you'd rather be on your deathbed knowing what happened because you did try, rather than wondering what could have happened if you did.
Yeah, and I'd like to get to that point where I can be, I've tried my hardest, I've tried everything. There's nothing that I haven't tried. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that I wanted to do that I didn't do.
Mm-hmm. So let's say like someone's at home watching this, right, and they have a job but they don't have a credit card, right? They may not be making a lot of money in that job or whatever it may be. How do they get a lot of credit? How do they get access to this funding that they need?
Okay, so I'll really break it down for you. First thing first, you have to like look at your report, because on your report it's pretty much your history. So as long as you have good history, that's when you can proceed. But if you have bad, which a lot of people have bad history, because like for example, if you had a phone bill and you didn't pay it, it goes on your credit report as like a negative remark. So for example, the banks see that and they won't want to like give you credit. So you've got to make sure you have a clean slate and you have like good accounts. So removing negative accounts is the first step, and like removing negative information. So if sometimes on applications you might have like spelt your name wrong and they put it on your profile. So you want to have your credit profile to be optimized to like no bad accounts, only like all your personal information to be correct. And then once that's set, that's when you start looking at like beginner accounts and primary accounts. So you can add your rental history. So 2 years of rental history can go on your account. So that's 2 years of on-time payments and that you're paying. And you can also apply for some like secured cards. So that's where you put your own money into the card and then you use it just like a normal credit card. But that builds like a relationship with the bank. And then there's also secured loans where you give the bank money and then they pretty much give it back to you as a loan and then you pay it off. It's just all about building a relationship with the banks. You want to build relationships with the banks, and then once you've built the relationships with the bank, that's when you can go and apply for credit. And once your credit score is optimized by having those accounts and on-time payments and age, really, that's when you're trustworthy to the banks, and that's when they'll allow you to borrow money against them.
Mm-hmm. So let's say someone has a credit card and maybe they missed a few payments and it's overdue or whatever it may be. What can they do? How do you fix that?
Okay, so if you have missed a few payments, it depends on like how recent they are, because if after 2 years they become like irrelevant. Mm-hmm. But if they're recent accounts, the best thing and quickest way to do it is to call up your provider. So call up the bank, talk to the representatives, tell them about your situation. Tell them about your situation. You can call up multiple times because each representative will be a different person. So you will get a representative that will give you a little leeway and remove that from your account. If you try that and it doesn't work, that's when you start like, that's when you start the credit repair process. So that's when you start sending letters to the credit reporting agencies to remove those. That's what I teach.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach people how to remove late payments, how to remove collections, negative accounts, all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how do you get a credit card if you don't have one?
Okay, so if you don't have a credit card and you don't have any credit at all, the best way is the secured credit card. So putting your money against it. So putting your money up, and then the bank will give you a credit
Mm-hmm.
card with your money. That's the first easy way to get into the bank. So, and with secured cards, normally after 6 months they graduate. So for example, you give them $3,000 to put on a credit card. 6 months later, they'll give you the $3,000 back, and you'll have a $3,000 credit card that's unsecured.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the easiest way to get started in,
Okay.
like to get a credit card.
What about, so obviously you have a ton of cards here, right?
Yeah.
And what are benefits of reward programs or points? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so that's the thing. So that's the thing that people don't understand, like why using credit is good. Because, for example, I give you $1,000 out of my checking account, like cash. Versus if I send you $1,000 with my credit, I'll get points. So depending which card I use, I could get 2x to 4x points.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I can use them points to get free flights, free hotels, free
Whatever.
gift cards,
Yeah.
like a lot. So that's what people don't understand, is that there's a lot of benefits to actually using your cards.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure you use the right cards to utilize the points, because the points, the points can get you the free flights, the free travel
Mm-hmm.
that you see online.
Yeah, 100%.
The first class flights for free,
Yeah.
the hotels for free.
Yeah, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that get all of this because like they have for example, an ad account, and it just all goes to this
Yeah.
credit card.
Yeah.
And they're just flying everywhere for free, staying for free, this and that. It's like, it's definitely like smart,
Yeah.
super smart. So this is kind of like completely irrelevant to credit. Definitely a very controversial figure in the media right now is Andrew Tate. So like, of course, tons of people hate him, but tons of people love him. And it seems to me that the people that do love him, or at least don't hate him, are the people like you and me. I don't know if you like him or not, but it seems like most of the guys that do like him are young, they have a business, they're going to the gym often, they're just trying to take control of their life. So do you agree with a lot of things Andrew Tate says?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things that he says. Like, everything he says has, like, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
100%.
Like, there's some things to really take, and then there's some things that, but that's everybody, not everybody, no one's perfect.
100%. So why do you think, for example, I've argued with a lot of girls on Andrew Tate, they're like, oh, you like him? You're a terrible guy, like, this and that. So why do you think people dislike him? Or why do you think there are girls like that?
Sheep mentality.
Sheep mentality.
Yeah. Because people see on the media that everyone's hating him, so it's just a cool thing to do. A lot of girls, they only see like the negatives, but it gets deeper than that because it's full interviews.
100%. Like, girls, like, for example, I would argue that it's the algorithm, right? The girls are getting shown the negative things about him, but those are the things without context, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll talk to a girl and they'll hate Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them, I'll be like, have you ever listened to like a long form piece of his content? Like, have you ever listened to a podcast or anything?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they say no. And most of the girls, or every girl that I have met that does not hate him, does agree with him or whatever, have listened to him on like long form. So it's like people it's like they just take things without context and take it as true.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely like kind of the whole mentality of like, I don't want to get too political, but like more of like the left leaning political ideology is like no self-responsibility, just like take things, like it's like they like manufacture these beliefs and they say, here, take this belief, and then they just take it.
Yeah.
So like, has Andrew Tate helped you in your life?
I was actually listening to Andrew Tate like before he like kind of blew up.
Really?
So I've always like been taking in his knowledge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he has like helped me a lot with just mental discipline, like taking ownership, like really just being a man, just being high value, not settling for less.
Yeah.
Just working hard.
100%.
Really.
Yeah, I think the self-responsibility aspect is huge, because like there's this one thing that he said that has gone taken completely out of context, is where he says depression isn't real.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
So like, for example, that's one of the main aspects or main points that girls will tell me when they dislike him. They said depression isn't real. And it's not that he's saying depression isn't a real thing, because depression, sure, people get depressed, but it's what he's truly saying is that by accepting that you're depressed, you lose all your power to it. So it's like just like that self-responsibility, that everything is my fault. Even if it's not my fault, it's still my fault, because when you take responsibility for all, then you have the power to change it.
Yeah.
Then you can actually do something. And yeah, so were you always aware about being like responsible, or was there a point in your life that was like, oh, this is not my fault, this is that, this is, you know what I mean?
I think that what comes with like being knowledgeable about stuff like this, about self-resilience, it comes to a point where like before you do action, you see both sides. Yeah, this is what I should be doing, and nah, this is what I shouldn't be doing. But it's easy to do this. So I feel like when you go down like the path, you can choose the good easy, or you can choose the bad easy, or the good hard. And it's like which do you want to pick?
Yeah, it's like easy life now, hard life later, or like easy choices now, hard choices later. It's like, which one do you really want? And that's like kind of the aspect of, or the principle of delayed gratification.
Yeah, delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification is huge, because it's like, for example, for our age, or specifically for me, it's like people will tell me, oh, you should go have fun, you should go do this, and you should go do that. But it's like those things that they're telling me to do, one, I don't necessarily find them that fun.
Yeah.
And two, they don't help me get to where I want to be, right? Because me saying no to all these things now, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, I'm going to be doing even crazier things because I worked now, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be, hey, do you want to go to Dubai for the weekend? And they'll say, oh, no, I'm working. I don't have work. And it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it goes back to that.
Yeah, an important message that my parents used to say to me was, like, the clubs aren't going nowhere, the alcohol's not going anywhere. I didn't really understand that meaning until recently, until like I got over the stage of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the clubs aren't going anywhere. It's more fun at the club when you have more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's more fun doing those activities when you have more money.
Yeah.
So I feel like people that don't really understand that, the clubs and parties, the girls, they're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important to get yourself sorted, so then you can start exploring and doing other things.
But whatever you want.
Yeah, as long as you don't have yourself in order, the whole life is out of order.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite quotes is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it can just be like the small little things. As long as you're consistent and clean and tidy, everything else in your life is going to be clean and tidy. Because, for example, you want a business partner and you go to their house and it's all messy. Working with them isn't going to be any different.
Yeah.
But if you go to someone clean, their car's clean, working with them will be clean. They'll be
100%.
more organized along the lines of that.
Yeah. Let's go back to what we were talking about earlier with the education system. What are your thoughts on the education system, that type of thing?
I think it's really all a system. You go to school to learn how to work a job. You don't go to school to learn how to be creative, to be an entrepreneur, I did an entrepreneurial class in school, but the teacher wasn't even an entrepreneur. So like that doesn't say much. And like people go to business school and the business teacher doesn't even own a business. All they know is theory.
Yeah.
But doing the alternative route, you're gonna learn a lot more starting your own business than a 4-year business degree.
100%. Because it's like, yeah, like you just said, you know all these things in theory, but like, what do you actually know about starting a business, about running a business, about having the mindset it takes to run a business and like keep going with it? Like that's the biggest thing too, is like mindset. Like your mindset is the foundation to all of your success in life. Because if you don't have a solid foundation, then everything else you build on top of it, it won't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I was gonna do the same thing. I was gonna go to school for entrepreneurship, but then the professor wasn't an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I would have spent, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years there. Yeah. If I spent 1, 2, 3 years on a business, how far ahead would I be? And so that's the route I chose instead of university. But it really is. It's like a system that just like pumping people out.
Yeah.
Good workers, good slaves, we can call them, whatever, right? Do you think it's going to change anytime soon? Do you think it has changed? Do you think there's an alternative?
I think, well, recently, like the stats have said, like a lot more people opting out of university and college. I think people are becoming more understandable of like the system that's in front of us. I think the alternatives is find a skill. The person with the most money, like they have skills. Like to make more money, you need more skills. So just focusing on education, learning skills, because like AI is coming and that will take a lot of people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people's jobs. And AI is cheap compared to paying somebody to do the same job.
100%.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the concept of skill stacking?
No, I'm not. Could you explain?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's something that helped me start my agency. So when I started out, or before I started, the skill that I had at that moment was graphic design. And what I chose to do was to learn about marketing and then stack the two together, right? So graphic design alone can get you a certain amount of money. Marketing alone, marketing can make you a lot of money.
Yeah.
But by stacking the two, then you have more money. And then you keep going. So like, for example, now I'm stacking leadership. Now I'm stacking video editing. Now I'm stacking public speaking. And you just keep stacking these skills until you're so valuable that it's like undeniable, right? So like, you've definitely stacked skills yourself, whether you're aware of it or not. What would you say to someone they know that they need to learn a skill, right? They want to learn a skill, but they don't know what skill to learn. It's like, how do they find out what skill to learn?
Okay, I recommend looking at what you already do, because like you said, everybody has skills if they know it or not. One could just be like a simple like cook. Like you might just be really good at cooking. You can, once you have that skill, like you say, you kind of stack your skills. So instead of just cooking, learn to be like a content creator. And while you're cooking, you can just create content over that. And then that's how you can build a business just off doing something that you like. You just, like you said, you just have to stack. Just by adding one more thing into the process, it's becoming a final like product.
Yeah.
It's becoming a product that will bring you value.
100%. Yeah, I think I would have the same advice too, is like, look what you're already good at and look what could easily stack with that to make something huge or bigger. So yeah, I think that's because you're right. Like everyone has a skill of some sort, whether they're conscious of it or they're not. Speaking of conscious, let's go into that. So a lot of, I don't remember the statistic, but it's like, I think 90% or 80% of our lives are lived almost on autopilot, right? And from 0 to 7, we're basically like a sponge, right? We're taking in all these informations, these behaviors, these habits, these beliefs, all these things, and they go into our subconscious mind. And then when we grow up, we still have all those habits, beliefs, behaviors, mannerisms, whatever it is. And I feel like a lot of people get held back by these things. And like for me, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I had a lot of behaviors or whatever it may be. And it was only until I realized that it's not my fault for how I got programmed, but it's my responsibility to reprogram myself. And it was just the understanding that I could reprogram my mind. I could insert new beliefs and new behaviors and habits. And it's a process, but you can do it. And I feel like every entrepreneur has kind of gone down that path of digging deep into their subconscious mind and uncovering these things and changing them, switching them out, bettering them, whatever it may be. So do you want to talk about your kind of experience with that, of like limiting beliefs or just like battling your subconscious mind? Because, for example, as humans, we're wired for comfort, right? So you'll always go for the comfortable thing rather than the harder thing. And that's just our subconscious at work. But as individuals that want to better ourselves, we have to consciously make the decision to do the hard thing, right? So do you have anything to say about that?
So kind of going back to like David Goggins, after reading his book, I started running. Like I used to hate running. I couldn't even run 2 kilometers, but after reading his book, I just went outside and I ran. And I just ran. I ran days and days and days. And I ended up running a half marathon.
Wow.
But before reading that book, I would have been like, there's no way I can do that.
Yeah.
I can't even run 3 kilometers. So getting the knowledge to really like reprogram your mind is like important, because
100%.
when I did work a job, I was able to use AirPods and I listened to like a book a day.
I did the same thing.
By me doing that, I literally reprogrammed my mind to understand like how money works, how to get money, different systems, and yeah.
Yeah, I actually really resonate with that, because the job that I was working before I started my business was construction. Yeah. The only reason I chose to work construction is so I could listen to podcasts. So I was listening to like 3 to 4 podcasts a day. And it was in that period that I was taking in all this good information. I was changing my beliefs. But then around me, the workers that I was surrounded with, I like just saw everything. I was listening to everything to do, but then seeing everything not to do. Yeah. And I think it was the combination of both of those that was really impactful for me. So what was the job that you were working that you were listening to AirPods?
It was literally the most robotic job ever. It was at a, what's it called? It was at a factory where they send out it was a distribution center. Oh, yeah. So it was just the same repetitive. You look at the order, you go pick it, and then you pack it up to get sent out. And I just would listen to it, just lock in on the book and just do the job just to get by. Yeah. Because that wasn't really important. It wasn't paying me much. Yeah. I was earning more by listening to the books, because that was more important. That was the most important thing to me.
100%.
Was just getting the knowledge that I didn't already know, because what we know versus what we don't know is insane.
Yeah, so I remember the first book I ever read on my own, right? Because we read books in school and you hear online and from all these people that you need to read books, but a lot of people will come out and they say, I hate books, I hate this and that. So what were you the same? Was that a belief that you had about books, and what made you change that? Yeah,
I never read books, but I think mainly because at school, like, we're forced
to read books we don't like.
We don't like, and that's another thing too. People read books over like love and romance. That's not gonna get you nowhere. You read books that will help you, that you need that knowledge on. Mm-hmm. But what was the question?
What made you go from not reading to reading?
Yeah, from what made me do that was reading Goggins' book. After I read his book, I started running and started reading every day.
What made you read that book?
I don't know.
Just something inside of you?
I don't know. I mean, I listened to his podcast. I saw that
Okay.
like what he was talking about
Yeah,
was
yeah.
legit, and he was someone that like I would wanted to replicate. And yeah, I just started reading it, and then I just couldn't put it down. And then that started me in my journey of just like mental toughness, choosing the hard thing that will benefit me in the future.
I resonate with the fact you said you couldn't put it down, because I read it as well. And so with some books, you read them, but then you forget about them, or and you put them down, right? I have tons of books on the go, but that book is something that I read all the way through in like 2 to 3 days. Like I couldn't put it down. But what was the first book that you ever read?
The first book, I didn't read it, but I heard it, was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
That kind of like started me
as well.
down the rabbit hole. Because I did that also at my job, just listen to it.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me like open up my eyes to you don't really have to work for money.
Yeah, 100%. So would Can't Hurt Me be your favorite book?
Yeah, I would say it's the most impactful. Yeah. I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but yeah, I would give that my favorite.
So if someone were to come to you, they've never read a book of their choice in their life, and they're like, I want a book recommendation, what would you give them?
Okay. My top 3 book recommendations would be, to start off, would be The Compound Effect, which that talks about the 1%, getting 1% better every day, doing small tasks that repetitively over time will become a big result. So, because to start, you need your mindset. Your mindset needs to be in order first. So that will really get your mindset in order. And then I would recommend David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, because that will really, because once you've read The Compound Effect, you know which direction of life you're going, and you're making them slow steps. David Goggins will see you make, he'll, like, by reading that book, you'll want to take even bigger steps to like achieve the goals quicker and just fall in love with the process. And then the last book I would recommend is Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. That book like really opened my mind up to like the selling, the money type of the money side of education and learning about money. That really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, sales is huge. I know so many successful entrepreneurs that started in sales. I think that's one of the most important skills if you do want to become successful in the space. So what are your 5-10 year plans? Where do you want to live? What type of business do you want to have? Do you want to be married? Do you want to have kids?
Yeah, 5 years time. I want to be married, have kids. I want to be just traveling the world. I don't want to have. I'll have a few houses in places like Bali, but I just want to be traveling the most of the time, because I feel like as a kid it'd be best to learn by traveling, because traveling you learn a lot. I want to have my business on autopilot, have employees to delegate the tasks to, and have a few Airbnbs that are just paying me on autopilot, so I can really focus on like my family and my health and well-being, and just providing as much value as possible and helping as many people reach their goals as possible.
100%. So I want to go back to the topic about the education system, but I want to tie it in with the kids. So are you going to put your kids through the normal education system?
Nah, I'm homeschooling my kids.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, the 0 to 7 is the most important time, like learning period of your life, and they're like a sponge. So I would want to just educate my kids the way that like I want, the way that I feel like the future is going towards, and giving them the opportunities to really like excel in whatever thing that they want to do. I'll let them do whatever they want, and I'll just back them. Like if they want to be, for example, if they want to be because you know how kids, they want to be like a garbage truck driver. I would teach them about the business, and then I would put them in the business where they could be a CEO of a garbage like company.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, there's money in everything as long as you know the right way.
100%.
Because like you could be a garbage truck driver not making much,
Yeah.
but if you own the garbage trucks, that's when you're making a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, teaching this my kids all that I know, plus letting them go down whatever avenues they would like, and really just focusing on education.
Yeah.
Because
100%. Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I think we're kind of almost biased here in Bali because most of us have very, very similar mindsets.
Yeah.
But I would say most of the people that are here in Bali would say the same thing about having kids and not putting them to the traditional educational system.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like you're letting the government, the system, program your kids.
Yeah, literally.
And it's like, it's terrible. And I'm glad that we were able to break out of that and kind of reprogram our minds and not go down the path that they kind of dangled in their faces. Hey, come this way, you know?
Literally.
But yeah, I think that's super big, and I think that's going to be a trend. And I think in terms of like the education system, it's already switching, and like there's an alternative, and that alternative is what we went down, right? Like we take courses, we read books, we do this and that. But I think the economy of courses, or whatever, like the system of like courses, is just gonna excel, and it's gonna get better and better. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dan Koh, but he kind of talks about how there'll be like a very good person in whatever topic you want to learn from, and you'll just learn from them. You're not gonna go to school and learn math, science, social studies, whatever, you know. You're gonna just like do what you want to do and learn from like the best in that subject. Because I think it's completely absurd that if I were to go take entrepreneurship program, I'm not learning from an entrepreneur. Like that makes no fucking sense.
And that's the thing, like mentorship too. Like you said, learn off the best person. And for example, if you can learn off Elon Musk, he's wrote many books that you can learn all his philosophies, all his mindset and everything. So you're not limited to whatever's in front of you.
100%. Have you ever paid for a course or a mentorship?
Yeah, I've spent probably well over 10,000. Well over.
Yeah, that's sick. I'm still kind of in the low end, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I'm still new on my journey, but it's coming. It's a constant evolution, like you said, that 1% every single day.
Yeah,
I think that was actually one of the first concepts that that really spoke to me in terms of like just this whole space of like success and becoming great and doing what you want to do. Yeah. So let's talk about, this kind of relates to this system, but health. So like, for example, we don't want to put our kids through school because it's the system.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to school because it's the system.
Yeah.
The food that we consume, especially us in the Western world, is all the system as well, right? All this processed garbage.
Yeah.
Are you conscious of that? Are you selective what you eat? Do you know about like what are your thoughts on health and food?
Yeah, I'm definitely selective on what I eat, what I drink, because that affects your mind and your body a lot. So that's also a good thing about Bali. It's not as genetically modified as obviously Australia and like America. You can get a lot of like natural organic products here. So I definitely recommend, like I definitely wouldn't like go down the traditional route of like fast food and stuff. Like that would be cancelled, obviously like special occasions, but I want them to like understand that food is like fuel. Like it's about like how you live your life compared to like when you die. Because you might live to 100 years old. You might live to 100 years old eating a bad diet, being fat, like being in bed for the last 30 years of your life. Or you could be like 100 years old and still walking, still have a good quality of life, still able to like play with your grandchildren and stuff, other than being like bedridden, stuck in bed all day, hooked up to all these machines, taking pills and lots of medicine.
Yeah.
Versus all it is just making that difference while you are alive to do the hard option.
Yeah.
That will.
Yeah.
That will
100%.
give you many more years of success.
Delayed gratification, guys. Delayed gratification.
Oh, yeah,
the one.
I
Yeah.
DG.
Delayed gratification. The 1%. There's a lot of concepts that are very, very crucial. So I think I'm gonna end this off with, if your younger self was standing right in front of you, what advice would you give to him?
I would say forget all the bullshit, all the outside stuff, and really just focus on yourself. Learn as much as you can and implement what you learn, because implementation is a big thing. Yeah, so whatever you learn, implement it and be fully focused on your goals and not worry about other things. Because I feel like I kind of like just gave up too easy at times when like I could have achieved so much.
Yeah.
So really sticking head down, focused on like your goals. And yeah, never look back. Take as many risks as you can, because as a young person, you don't have much to lose.
Yeah. 100%.
So taking risks.
100%. All right, Isaac. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We'll
Thanks
see you
for
guys
having
next
me.
time. Bye-bye.